Close your eyes. Take a deep, gentle breath and allow yourself to drift back in time, to an age of stone walls and candlelight, to a world where marriage was less a matter of the heart, and more a question of duty, of alliances, of survival itself. In medieval Europe, marriage was rarely a celebration of love. Instead, it was a contract, a solemn agreement between families, a means to preserve land, to secure wealth, to forge alliances that would endure beyond a single lifetime. For noble families, the stakes were even higher. A marriage could settle a dispute over borders, cement a treaty, or elevate a dynasty to new heights of power. Children were often betrothed before they even understood what marriage meant. A little girl of 7, her hand promised to a boy of 10. Their futures sealed by signatures and seals they could not read. Far from the grand halls of nobility, in humble cottages, peasants also followed their own marriage customs. A peasant wedding was no less a contract, though its stakes were measured, not in kingdoms, but in sheep, in small parcels of land. In the promise of labor shared, families would gather in the hearth's glow to exchange tokens, perhaps a simple knife or a woven belt, symbols of union and shared toil to come. Above all these unions towered the immense authority of the medieval church. By the 12th century, marriage had become a sacrament, sacred, indissoluble. Once the banns were read aloud in the church, once the vows were spoken, there was no turning back. This blessing, which gave marriage its holiness, also became its iron cage. Those who married unwisely, those who discovered cruelty or disappointment, found no easy path to freedom. Medieval weddings unfolded through layers of ritual. There was the public proclamation, the reading of banns. 3 Sundays in a row, there was hand fasting, where the couple's hands were bound together with ribbon or cord, as the priest invoked blessings. Then came the exchange of tokens, rings for those who could afford them, a cup of wine, a simple kiss. Finally, the most curious ritual of all, the bedding ceremony. Friends and family would lead the couple to their bed. Laughter mingled with solemnity. As witnesses crowded the chamber, curtains were drawn, doors closed, and the marriage was sealed in the darkness. For women, marriage often marked an abrupt end to childhood. A girl of 14, who had once gathered herbs or spun flax, now became mistress of a household. She was expected to bear children, to oversee servants or tend the animals, to honor her husband, no matter his temper. And yet within these narrow walls, women found ways to endure, a quiet word to a neighbor, a prayer whispered by candlelight, a moment of laughter with a child. These small acts of resilience sustained them through years of duty and sacrifice. While marriage was bound by law and faith, there flourished another realm of the heart, the world of courtly love. In poems and songs, knights spoke of devotion so pure, it could never be contained by a wedding contract. A lady at her window, a secret glance across the great hall, a silken token hidden beneath a breastplate. These were the symbols of an idealized love, spiritual, unattainable, and often outside the bounds of marriage itself. Not everyone married. Some remained single by choice, others by misfortune. The widow who never remarried, the healer who lived alone at the edge of the village, the soldier who wandered from one lord to another. These lives were often met with suspicion, but they also offered glimpses of freedom, a chance to shape one's own path, however narrow. In a world bound by expectations, when marriages failed, divorce was almost unthinkable. A handful of annulments, granted only to the powerful, most couples simply endured. Some lived as strangers under the same roof, dividing their world into separate corners. Others found small compromises, a truce, a quiet understanding. In these unspoken arrangements, there was a kind of survival, a way to carry on, despite the absence of affection. Tonight, as you drift into sleep, remember that medieval marriage was not merely a union of 2 souls. It was an institution, woven into the fabric of survival, a story of duty and sacrifice, of resilience and occasional tenderness. Beneath the rituals and restrictions, the bans and the contracts, lived real people who yearned, who hoped, who adapted, and who endured. Their lives, their unions, have become distant echoes. But if you listen closely, You can still hear their voices, soft as a lullaby, whispering through the centuries. And now, let your mind rest. Let these old stories keep you company as you dream of castles, of candlelight, and of the quiet strength of those who came before us. Good night and peaceful dreams.